to World Crisis Radio. Now, the next point, we've got the Dump Obama movement emerging on Fire Dog Lake and elsewhere. And the question now is, we're in the midst of the primary election campaign, right? Things begin to start now in New Hampshire and in Iowa. It was about 4 years ago, this coming February, that Barkey declared his messianic quest, which has been such a tragedy for the United States. And we'll have all the Republicans are maneuvering, right? Will it be Petraeus, the neocon candidate? Will it be Christie, the austerity dictator, the Duce of brutal, savage austerity? Will it be Petraeus Christie? Will it be Petraeus Romney? Will it be Petraeus Mitch Daniels? What could it be? All of these are possible. In the meantime, though, in terms of sociology, here's our premise. There is no Tea Party. The media talk about nothing else. The media are interested in keeping alive the fantasy, the myth by now, that there's such a thing as the Tea Party as an actual sociological movement. There is no such thing. The Washington Post did a series of attempted phone calls and to contact these people. They went to Tea Party Express, Tea Party Patriots, Freedom Works, and the rest of these astroturfing organizations. These are essentially Republican PACs that rebaptized themselves Tea Party, right? In 2004, they were re-elect Bush. In 2006, they were support Denny Hastert and Tom DeLay. And then in 2010, they become, we're the Tea Party, we're the insurgents, right? This should fool nobody, right? This is the Sal Russo corner of the world. And again, it's these are Republican operatives, professionals, right, who have now succeeded in completely absorbing whatever Tea Party there was into the Republican Party. Now, the Washington Post found, allegation was that there were 2,400 Tea Party organizations. That's what these AstroTurf groups claim. Washington Post tried to contact them. They were able to contact 1,200, show some evidence of something that was there, is there, but who knows what they were. They were able to make contact with 600 of these, and the overwhelming finding was that they did nothing, that they had no relation to elections, that they didn't support candidates, they didn't have their own candidates, they didn't have their own program, they didn't do anything much. They were essentially social clubs. They would meet for coffee or bowling or a skit or some other kind of friendly neighborhood activity. It means that the rank and file, the grassroots structure of what was the Tea Party is now completely gone. Nevertheless, what you can look at the Tea Party at, you can certainly see when Beck calls for a demonstration, he gets 100,000 or whatever he gets. You can have these Tea Party rallies over issues. This is now the same method as we've described in Obama the Postmodern Coup, right? Remember, take a look in Obama the Postmodern Coup at the entire chapter that's devoted to swarming adolescents, rebellious hysteria, the distinguished article by Jonathan Mawat about how the color revolutions are now organized, right? This is based on CIA practice in the Philippines against Marcos in the 1980s, what went on in Iran in the late 70s against the Shah, and bringing in the other regime that we see now, and the thing that was then prolonged into the Belgrade overthrow of Milosevic in 2000, 2001, and the Kiev Orange Revolution that put Yushchenko and that gang into power, the NATO agents and IMF agents, the revolution, the Roses Revolution in Tiflis, Georgia, that put in the madman Saakashvili, the warmonger, the attempted Cedars Revolution in Lebanon, and so on and so forth around the world, right, using demagogic leaders, slogans, branding, Tea Party, obviously one of them, right, all this costumes, right, the 18th century costumes, don't tread on me. These are all essentially the applications of the same method. Now, it means that it's also the case of Obama, right? The Obama campaign of 07-08 was exactly the same thing. It was an astroturfing method that took the existing militants and the existing activists of the anti-Bush, anti-Cheney impeachment movement, which was reaching down deep into the middle class, the anti-war movement and other popular movements, and recycled them into dupes and useful idiots for Obama, and then threw them away. And that's where we stand now. These movements have essentially been swept away and destroyed. at the beginning with the Tea Party, you did have a certain spontaneous aspect. This cannot be denied. In the first half of 2009, I would point in particular to the sociology. Having talked with Tea Party people, gone to some demonstrations and attempted to profile these groups sociologically, what do you find? You find a lot of stockbrokers, you find a lot of real estate brokers. What does that mean? These are people who are appendages of Wall Street, appendages of the great speculative machine, right? The retail broker, the local financial advisor, the real estate broker. We can see the character of the hero's mother in the latest Oliver Stone movie, right? She's caught up in the flipping houses routine there on Long Island. There are people who imagine themselves to be in some kind of a symbiosis with Wall Street. They think that their personal interests are bound up with Wall Street, and therefore their instinctive view, as we've seen, the Tea Party view tends to mimic and ape the finance capital view. For example, the fact that the Tea Party program of gut and cut is exactly the same as the George Shultz program announced as in the pages of the Wall Street Journal, right, where we find that the things that you've got to do, according to George Shultz, are tax cuts for the rich, savage cuts in domestic discretionary spending, savage cuts in the entitlement spending, no new regulations, gut those, and have as he said, a rule-bound or predictable international financial policy. Well, this, to the extent that the Tea Party people have anything to say about this, that's what it was from the very beginning. But again, you also had a lot of retired military who had been ideologized in that obvious way of hyper-patriotism and so forth, but also people who knew that their nests had been fully lined with Pentagon TRICARE and military pensions that are much better than Medicare or Social Security, and who felt that they didn't need anybody else climbing onto that bandwagon. They wanted to pull the ladder up now that they had gone up it, and they have all kinds of reasons why they want this to be so. But in the meantime, that, I think, has completely atrophied, and what you've got now is the dominion of astroturfing groups funded by the Koch brothers, funded by Richard Mellon Scaife, the Olin Foundation, the Smith-Richardson Foundation, and so forth, getting into the act and supporting the Heartland Institute and the network of reactionary think tanks that you have all over the place. And this has now become a phantom. It's an ideological phantom which these commentators cite constantly as if it really exists. Well, it doesn't exist. And look, for example, at some of the people that have gotten elected, right? Rob Portman in Ohio is a fanatic for free trade. Same story for Dan Coates. He's a globalist in Indiana, and he's been able to get elected in the year of the Tea Party tsunami. We'll see you in just a minute to hear more.